Imagine going to the doctor with a bad headache, and instead of giving you a couple of aspirin, they grab a heavy stone tool and calmly drill a permanent hole right through your skull. No anesthesia, no sterilized equipment, just raw, agonizing pain. For thousands of years, this wasn't some twisted form of torture. It was standard, cutting-edge medical treatment. Before we stumbled into modern science and antibiotics, human medicine wasn't based on biology. It was based on desperation, superstition, and some of the most terrifying guesswork imaginable. We often romanticize ancient civilizations for their incredible architecture and philosophy, but when it came to healthcare, they were living in a literal horror movie. If you fell ill a few centuries ago, your chances of surviving the doctor were often lower than surviving the actual disease. Today we are opening the dark archives of medical history to explore the most insane, brutal, and deadly practices our ancestors used to treat common illnesses. By the end of this video, you will be deeply grateful for every single trip to a modern pharmacy. Let's start with that terrifying skull drilling, a practice known as trepanation. This is actually one of the oldest surgical procedures in human history, with archaeological evidence stretching back over 5,000 years. From ancient Peru to medieval Europe, doctors would manually scrape, cut, or drill holes into a living patient's head. Why on earth would they do this? The logic was simple, yet completely wrong. They believed that severe headaches, epilepsy, and mental illnesses were caused by evil spirits trapped inside the skull. To cure the patient, you literally had to give the demons an exit door. Amazingly, skull bone regrowth proves that many patients actually survived the surgery itself, though they were left exposed to brutal infections in a world without antibiotics. As civilizations advanced, we moved away from drilling skulls and moved toward chemistry, but the results weren't any less lethal. Enter mercury, the heavy silver metal that flows like a liquid. Because of its unique, mesmerizing physical properties, ancient healers from China to Europe believed mercury was a magical substance capable of granting eternal life and curing almost any infection. The famous Chinese emperor Qin Shi Huang famously drank a cocktail of mercury and liquid jade to live forever. It tragically killed him at the age of 49. Centuries later, European doctors used mercury to treat everything from skin diseases to syphilis. Patients would be smeared with mercury paste, wrapped in blankets, and left to sweat out the illness. Instead of curing them, the treatment slowly poisoned their nervous systems, causing their teeth to fall out, their organs to fail, and their minds to deteriorate. The cure was literally a slow-motion execution. But perhaps the most widespread medical delusion in history was the obsession with balance. For over 2 millennia, Western medicine was dominated by the theory of the 4 humors. Doctors believed the human body was controlled by 4 fluids: blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile. If you got sick, it meant these fluids were out of balance, and the most common culprit was always having too much blood. The solution? Bloodletting. If you had a fever, a cold, or even a broken bone, a doctor or a local barber would slice open your veins and let you bleed into a bowl until you fainted. When slicing veins felt too aggressive, they used leeches. Millions of these blood-sucking parasites were shipped across the world to be placed on patients' bodies, draining them of their vital energy. Instead of helping, bloodletting drained the immune system right when the body needed to fight off infection. In fact, in 1799, George Washington died after his doctors drained nearly 40% of his blood in a single day to treat a throat infection. Looking back, it seems insane that humanity survived these brutal treatments for thousands of years. But our ancestors weren't stupid. They were just operating in the dark, fighting invisible enemies without the right tools. It makes you wonder which of our current, modern medical treatments will look completely barbaric to humans living 200 years from now. But here's a fascinating twist. While ancient doctors were terrifyingly wrong about drilling skulls and drinking mercury, they actually got a few things completely right. Deep within the ancient world, certain cultures were using bizarre ingredients like crushed willow bark, moldy bread, and snake venom to successfully heal wounds and stop pain. If you want to find out how these ancient remedies actually laid the secret foundation for modern pharmacology, click on this video right here where we break down the secret science hidden inside ancient myths. See you there.